Welcome to Lambda Expressions lecture. So Lambda is called an anonymous function, meaning it does not require a def name, nor does it require a return. Lambdas are single-line expressions and can only be used as a substitute for basic functions. Also, you cannot add a docstring to a lambda unless you can with a function. So, starting off, we'll do a very basic function and then we'll go about converting it into a lambda. So def add arg1, arg2, and as you can probably guess, it's just going to be an addition. So arg1 plus arg2, and then we'll run our function, add say 10 and 20 with the output of 30. So if we're going to go about converting this into a lambda, then what we do is, let's say xy colon x plus y, and then we do g 10 20. And as you can see here, we have the exact same output. And you'll notice if you compare both the function, the add function, and the lambda function, you'll find that you have x and y as the parameters on the left hand side of the colon, and then on the right hand side you actually have, of course, the task that's being performed by the lambda function, just as you have with the line here, the second line, where return arg1 plus arg2 in the add function. And what we can also do is add more variables, or rather these parameters here. So x, y, z, and then we could do z, and we can have, let's say, 100, so we get 130 as the output. And we could also create some of them as, or all of them, as having default values. So we could do 10, 40, and let's say 50. Then we remove all of these, and we get 100. So we don't actually have to put any values in because we've already got default values. However, we can actually override these values here, just like we could with the add function. So I could actually do the same here, 10, 40, and arg3 equals 50. So of course I'd have to put in arg3, and also we just remove that, get 100 as well, just like we have the lambda g function. But we could override these default values. So if we do, let's say, 200s, 400s, and let's say 12, we're going to get 612. There you go. Great. Okay, so moving on from that, we'll do a few more. So essentially in this lecture, we're going to be going about converting functions into lambda. So let's say we do def check num, so we've got one parameter, return num modulus 2 equal 0, or num greater than 8. And then we do check, let's say we'll do 8. It's true because it's an even number. So either, in this line here, the return line, line 2, we're looking for either an even number or a number greater than 8, which will return a Boolean value of true. If not, it will return a Boolean value of false. So let's say we do 4. This will also be true because it's a Boolean value of get a Boolean value of true, but it's an even number, so it's going to be true. If we're to do 3, however, we're going to get false because it is less than 8 and it's not an even number. If we were, however, to do an odd number of 13, it is not even, but it is greater than 8, so we also get true. Okay, so how are we going to go about doing this for lambda? Well, all we do is num colon, so we've got our parameter here, and then we do num or num greater than 8. So it's extremely similar to this basic check function. And then we do g2, 13, we get true, changes to 3, we get false, changes to 9, we get true. Changes to 4, we get true. Okay, great. So moving on from that, if we were to also do type, let's say we do check, we get function, and likewise if we were to do G2, we also get function. So scrolling down, just make some space here. Let's say we do a def compare, so we're going to have control flow with this function with two variables. Do colon if a greater than 10, return a, else return b. And we'll do compare, let's say do 4 and 2. We're going to get the output of 2 because a is not greater than 10, because in this case a is 4. So we're going to get the output of 2, which is the parameter b. And let's say, for instance, we put this as 20. We're going to get the output of a instead, which is going to be 20. Okay. So how will we create the equivalent with lambda for this compare function? Well, all we do is, let's say, g3, and then we have lambda a, b. Remember, these are the parameters on the left-hand side of the colon. And then we do a if a greater than 10, else b. And then we'll do g3, 20 to exactly as we have with the compare. And then we have 20. If we were to do, let's say, 7, we get 2. Okay. So moving on from that, we'll do one more. And that is def size x. So we have the x as the parameter. If x greater than 100, colon, return big, else return small. And then we'll do size. Let's say we do 90, should be small. And if we do, let's say, whoops, just 101, this should be big. And if we want to go about creating the equivalent version of this with lambda, we'll actually do it on another cell, so it's a bit more clearer. It's g4 equals lambda x as our variable, or parameter rather, big, let's make this caps, big, if x greater than 100, else small, g4, 101 should be big, and if we do 90, it's small. If we do, let's just say 1, we also get small. If we do 1,000, we get big. Okay. And really, that's pretty much all there is to this lecture. If you have any more questions, then feel free to ask in the Q&A. Thank you.